After I send it in, when they got it, they sent me an email saying, hey, we got your part, we're evaluating it. And then a few days later, I got an email, I'm sorry to inform you, but you have failed your test part. Hey guys, it's Sunday night. I'm working another Sunday in the shop. And I'm running a couple coin dies, and I'm about to heat treat some tool holders, some 4140 steel. So I'm going to be out here a while, and I thought I'd just take a few minutes, shouldn't take me too long, and talk about my experience onboarding with Xometry. I'm giving Xometry a try. I'm just through those initial hurdles of becoming a partner, doing my test part, becoming a partner, getting onboarded, and I thought I would share my experience. I took a few notes, a few talking points, so I don't ramble on and waste your time. Then there's a few things here on the computer and some test parts that I want to show you that'll go into that I think will be beneficial. So first part is signing up, like the process. I didn't find that overly difficult. I just went to their website, xometry.com. Now, some people say Xometry, some people say Xometry. I don't know. It's one more syllable to say, so I just say Xometry and skip to the end. But yeah, I went to Xometry, just xometry.com, applied as a new member for 3-axis machining, and everything was very straightforward. I'm not going to go into the process. It was very easy. Why? Well, at the time that I started this, I had a lot of available or free spindle time. I hadn't ramped up to now. So this was over the summer. I decided it was actually the same time I did 75 hard. So I was gung ho. But I decided, I'm going to give Xometry a try. I've got a lot of free time in the shop, and I could use that to make some cool parts and to make a little extra money. Fast forward till to now, I'm in full swing. I feel like I've been forging and making things to sell in my Etsy shop nonstop since October. So that's why I decided to at least give it a try. I've heard a lot of people say you can't make any money with Xometry. I've heard a lot of complaints, and it's really hard to believe what you hear from other people or on the internet unless you see it for yourself. There are always two sides to a story, right? And some people are successful with it. So let's skip to I'm I've done everything online. Excuse me. I've done everything online. I filled it out. Let's skip to the test part. So I actually, since I bought this aisle in 2020, I have never or rarely run aluminum. So I didn't really know what the sile was capable of running aluminum. So I wanted to do some tests. I ran. I just threw this in the vise, this chunk of extra aluminum I had, and I ran the top of the test part. This is what the top of the test part looks like. Okay, you've got this surface here, this angled surface. You've got your top and inside pocket. All right, you have this radius here that you have to mill, and then obviously there's a bottom. And you have 3 holes in the middle. I believe 2 of which are tapped. So I was just testing out my speeds and feeds. This is a throwaway piece of aluminum I had. After that, I went back to my CAD and CAM and refined what I thought I needed to do with the process. Now, I think I have it up here. There are some critical dimensions that they call out. This is the final inspection sheet. Green is good, by the way. That means I passed. This is the inspection sheet that they provided to me after I passed the part. So this is what the final part looks like. And some of the critical dimensions are, for example, this is a through hole here in the center. That had to be, I think it was 1.188 inches, plus or minus 1 thou. And then these are 1/4 20 cap holes, nothing big. That was super easy. What I was really worried about was the roughness average, the surface finish that they called out on this part. And I thought, well, if I get brand new inserts and I just really dial in my fusion speeds with I used a 50 millimeter face mill, 2-inch face mill, maybe I can get it. And I got it. I was a little surprised, but I got it. But I was really worried about this. So this whole time, and maybe let's think of this later in this conversation, but my biggest worry at the time was actually passing passing this part, getting the surface finish, and then all edges broken, in the mill. And so you have to get a little creative with this one, right? Um, there are several ways you can do that. I ended up going, I can't remember what it's called. I did a trace. Yeah, under in Fusion 360 under the 2D toolpaths, I ran a trace. I think I ended up running it with an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch ball mill, because as that end mill is going and navigating along this contour, the tool geometry is going to change ever so slightly, and that was the least catastrophic. It still broke the edge, but I was able to dial that in. Worked pretty well otherwise. So this part, I ran it, everything looked good, but I made two mistakes. To get this 0.188 inside diameter, I actually ran it with, I ran it so that I could run a reamer through it, a CNC reamer, after I had drilled it. And I think my tool holder was out a little bit. Either the tool holder holding the reamer was out or the drill was out, because this was 1 thou too much. Instead of 0.1888, it was, instead of being over 1 thou, it was over 2 thou. And then when on this particular part, I flipped it, put it back in the vise, and was just off ever so slightly. I just have just the tiniest little edge, and I hate that. I hate it when you have to flip apart and find it just perfectly. So that didn't work, so I had to come up with a different strategy. I decided at that point, and this is actually when my probe broke, and I went to a Heimer, a 3D probe. I decided to do it all the feature. This is 1.5 inches tall, to get an end mill long enough to run all the way down, and then flip it, and all I had to do was space it, and that worked pretty well. And this time I got my hole just right. Everything was perfect, except two things. When I flipped it, I put it on parallels in the vise. I over tightened it, and I created, I kind of marred the finish. This surface finish is 125, so that would have passed. It would have been fine. But then I learned something about my mill. It was either because I have a 30 taper, or because the end mill that I had was so long that I got a little bit of chatter, and I hated that. It didn't look good. So this one was done. And about that point, let's take a quick break and quench this tool holder. It's been going at 1550 degrees for about 45 minutes, holding that temperature. We just need to quench this real quick. Okay. And these are tool holders for my fly press. Well, not my fly press. I already have my own tool holder. These are tool holders that are for sale that I'm making for fly presses. And this is specialized quenching oil, a very low flame point, low smoke point that I'm using to quench this. And I've got this quenching oil in ammo cans like this. Keeps it nice and contained. And if I'm careful, there's no spillage and very little cleanup. Alright, I'll finish this up, and then let's talk a little geometry. And about that point, I was ready to give up. I was getting really busy. It was months after I started the process, so instead of having a lot of free spindle time, I had I was running this mill, probably 8 hours a day. I've been running it probably let's say 6 to 8 hours a day since October, which is fun. So that's why I'm out here on Sundays to do these off jobs, these jobs for me. Anyway, so I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna block it. So I did make a block, get the dimensions exactly as you want, and then I just did, once this was a nice, rectangle or cube, I threw it in there, did the top feature, did the engraving with my partner ID and the tapping, and sent it in. So that's my story with the test part. I think, if I wasn't so pressed for time, I think this it would have been totally viable. Get just the perfect right tool length to cover this 1.5 inch, flip it, face it, and you'll be done. I don't think that the test part was overly difficult. And now that I'm on the job board, comparably, I think this test part looks easy compared to some of the jobs that I have been declining and not taking. I think a key takeaway with these test parts is Xometry wants to find out if you can do your basic CNC operations. They want to know if you can do 3D tool pathing. They want to know if you can hit your tolerances, and then after the fact, they want to know if you can measure them and then demonstrate that you can do a formal inspection report. For example, this pin here to, I believe it was the bottom edge here, needed to be 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 1.5 inches, and then how do you measure that? Or this hole in this edge. And I actually ended up setting this in the mill, put it in a perfect size pin, using my Heimer. I got a reference offset up in Z, measure the pin, and then I could get my height there. I do have a surface plate, but I am missing some of the tools that someone would have in their metrology lab to get these. But that's perfectly viable. You can do that. If you wanted to measure the height of this, if I have it on a reference surface in there, I can measure the bottom and then measure the top, and there I go. I've got my measurement. Obviously, that one's pretty easy to do. After I milled the test part, the next part of the process is following their procedure, their workflow, on their computer. They have like this project management workflow where they take you through gates of, I have the material in stock, I have the gun manufactured, I have milled the part, I have inspected the part, I have shipped the part. I'm not saying those are the actual steps, but something like that. So they want to see how you navigate their system. And then, if you've been in the military or know someone has, you may have heard the term attention to detail. So they want to make sure that you can follow instructions. Put this piece of paper here, write this here, do this, submit this. And so that's equally an important part of the test part as doing the test part. So after after I send it in, when they got it, they sent me an email saying, hey, we got your part, we're evaluating it. And then a few days later, I got an email, I'm sorry to inform you, but you have failed your test part. And I was like, well, part of me, I was relieved. I'm like, fine, I don't have to deal with Xometry. I've heard these nightmares. Fine, I'll concentrate on my own gig. And then this lady reached out to me, and she's like, hey, Garen, I'm the one that I had to fail your test part. Your test part was actually really good. It was perfectly adequate. It was perfectly fine. You forgot, though, however, to put this paperwork in the box with your test part that included your partner ID. And so I said, well, okay, sorry, I did that. And I emailed her the paperwork. I'm like, will this suffice? Here's the paperwork. Here's my partner ID. Here's the information you wanted. And then she passed me. So here comes the fun part. After I get this back, I was very curious because some of this stuff, I can't measure. I don't own a profilometer. I don't own one, and I'm not willing at this point to go out and spend. I don't have the money to go spend $600 or $2,000 on a nice perfilometer. I want one for sure. I could get one of those cards, but even $100 for a little metal scratch card, I wasn't willing to do that. But so I just thought, I'll do my absolute best and send it in. So when I sent mine in, I just said, listen, I don't have a profilometer. I just have basic tools. Excuse me. Oh, shit, did I close that? Sorry, guys. Okay. So I passed, and not Fusion 360 and the Sile passed this. I just hit start, I feel like. So I passed all of this. Um, of note, the things I was most worried about, the surface finish on the top of the part, it called for a 16. I got a 3.5. Not bad, Sile. That's not bad. Using a 50 millimeter 90-degree face mill. I think it's five insert 90-degree inserts from Mari tool, and I got a 3.5. Needed a 16. This slope, I milled this with a 1/4-inch 3-flute ball mill for cutting aluminum. They wanted a 32 surface finish, and I got a 14.07. So even that ball mill, even that finish beat was good enough for the top. And then let's see, is there another surface finish? No, they didn't measure the other sides. Okay, sorry. This video is getting longer than I expected. All right, so let's talk about the next part of the process. So after I had passed that part, well, failed, then passed, the next part of the part was an interview. So the interview with Xometry, it's a Zoom, for me, it was a Zoom call, and it was right in here. And I had my phone set up just like this because they wanted to, there are certain things in that interview that they want to verify. They want to look at your shop. They want to verify that you've got the equipment that you're applying for. I had my software, just like this, pulled up with the part. And if I were to just say, bottom line up front, was the interview difficult? I would say absolutely not. It would be very difficult to fail that interview. So that's not a stressor. As long as you know what you're talking about, and it was just me. It was just one-on-one. As long as you know what you're talking about, what you're doing at that basic level, which is me. I'm not a super duper CNC whiz like some of the other guys out there. But I do know my basic 3-axis stuff. I do know my basic machining stuff. I know enough to know that I don't know. How's that? So in the interview, we talked a lot about quality management systems, QMS. He wanted me to know if I had a QMS book. He wanted to know what would I do if I failed a part? Would I mark it with red tape and isolate it from the other part? What are my protocols? I don't have a QMS book, by the way. I'm halfway through completing one now. It's basically a standard operating procedure for ensuring that you have quality in your shop. So it was just a basic interview. We got to know each other. Do I have spindle time? Tour of the shop. What software am I running? And then get your QMS going. And then that was it. I was hired. The next step in the process was an onboarding call. So that was also a Zoom meeting. I did that in my office, with a cup of coffee. And there are, 4 or 5 other guys on there with me. I just, I kept my mic muted and I listened and I took really good notes. Super easy, really nice lady, but just a formality. And that opens you up to be able to get on the job board. After that call, I think it took about 10 minutes. The job board opened up to me and I was able to take one job at that point. About a week later, I took another, about a week later, I took another call. He kind of seems like a onboarding coach to me. I don't know what his actual title is, but he's been coaching me, and he's always available for for questions I might have. We talked a long time. He explained a lot. I took a lot of really good notes for a successful start with Xometry. And he talked about, your first 3 parts that you complete. First of all, he said, take easy parts. Take, 1-op, 2-op parts, send them in. The first 3 parts go to Xometry, and then they're going to do their inspection, okay? So don't take a part that requires this formal, crazy inspection. Goes to Xometry, and then after your 3rd part, you're able to send it straight to the customer, so that'll improve your lead time. And then he said, don't worry about the money at the beginning. I mean, obviously don't go in the hole, but what he meant was don't worry about taking high dollar jobs. Make sure that they're elementary 1-op, 2-op parts, and get them out the door. Get to 15, and after 15, you can apply for a higher tier, like a premium tier. So that's where I am right now. I've been looking for. Oh, having to change parts. I've been looking for about. Oh no, just the tool chain. I've been looking for about 3 weeks for a part, and I haven't found one. Because I don't do any finishing work. Okay, there have been parts that I could have taken, but I don't have time to black anodize or red anodize or clear anodize and send it to Xometry, right? So I couldn't take those. On one Friday night, it was 8 o'clock. I was at the pub with my wife on a date, and I'd had 3 beers, and I got a Xometry part, and I'm trying to see. I have terrible, I've got bifocals. I'm trying to see this. Can I do this? I gotta pull it up on Fusion. I gotta make sure I don't want to take a part that I can't do. And so as soon as we got home, well, the part was gone. So that was the only other part. And there's some effing wacko parts. Who designed these things? The square corners. I don't broach. Some of these things can't be broached. I don't know what's going on. I don't lathe. I don't have a lathe. I tell them that. They keep sending me, 16,000-foot lathe parts. I don't turn. So it's kind of funny. I'm a partner. The only parts coming in to me right now, they're not 1-op, 2-op parts. Not yet. I have found that the more time I spend during the day looking for parts, the more new parts come in. If I'm really busy one day and I never log in, there's no activity on my account. They don't send me emails saying, "Hey, you have a new job available to you on the job board." They do not send me emails unless I log in. If I log in the morning, consistently, then I'll start getting emails, and it's a give and take. It's like a relationship. I don't know how their algorithm works, but that's definitely playing into it. So I think this week is going to be my last busy week for the Christmas season. And then, things are going to slow down. I'm still going to be looking for a part. But once things slow down here, I'm going to be looking really hard because I think I only have 60 days to do the first 5 parts. Yeah, this might not work out. In fact, check this out. I bought some, certified aluminum, a big chunk of it, that I can, potentially cut into weird shapes to make parts. Because I don't have aluminum. I got a shit ton of steel. 4140, 5200, A36. I've got stainless steel. But again, it'll either work out or it won't. And I'm fine with that, Fate willing, it will. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. I'm okay. I really enjoy what I do. I really wanted to kind of use Xometry as a catalyst to improve, my work practices, to learn, to possibly get more certifications, and maybe even bring in some income. And it'd be cool to prove some of the naysayers wrong that it actually works. But oh well, maybe it does. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. That's all I got for now. More videos to come. the Christmas shopping rush is dying down, and so some of my blacksmithing stuff that I'm doing, it will go down in demand, and that is good. I'm looking forward to some downtime. I'm looking forward to working on some of my projects. To temper these bad boys up. These are the tool holders that we just heat treated. They look nasty now, but they'll clean up nice. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Catch you on the next one. Bye.